These are the Cloudlifter and are inline preamp. So what does it mean? Intro, and then we talk more about this beautiful stuff for your recording. Hi guys, I'm Steex, audio video production. Welcome to my YouTube channel and of course, welcome to my studio. The place where I try out pro audio gear and also guitar gear related. But today I'm gonna show you these Cloudlifter. But what are Cloudlifter? Well, actually these are inline preamp. What does it mean? Inline preamps are preamplifier for your microphones, but could be also for other sources. For example, this is combo, so also for your guitar or your bass or whatever. And since they are inline preamp, they are boost for your microphones. But the most important feature of inline preamps is that they are clean boost, so low noise. This is especially indicated for people that have very economic kind of audio interface with very poor preamplifier. For example, if you need a microphone like this one, so ribbon microphone or microphone that require high amount of preamplifier, let's say plus 50 dB, plus 60, plus 70 dB, I don't know, but it's a lot. Well, maybe your economic preamplifier, well, actually, I don't know if economic amplifier can reach plus 60 or plus 70 dB, but anyway, for sure will be very noisy. And this will be the solution. You have clean plus 25 dB of boost for your microphones. There are a lot of types of Cloudlifter. You have the link in the description directly to Lucky Music, which I send you a huge thanks because Lucky Music sending me these Cloudfilters to make a review. This video is sponsored by Lucky Music and also by Cloudlifter. I want to be really clear. However, I've made a really in-depth review about this Cloudlifter, so we will see if they worth or not, okay? And I'll show you also some tests that I did. I've recorded something to show you also how this performs. So again, inline preamp like this Cloudlifter are especially indicated for people who have a really economic audio interface, because maybe you need high amount of gain for your preamp, for your microphone, so you have plus 25 dB of gain, clean of any noise. But another use, for example, could be for podcaster, because you mainly use your vocal to record, and sometimes really high quality microphones require high amount of preamp. For example, Shure SM7B, you need plus 60 dB of gain, and probably your economic audio interface does not reach plus 60 dB of gain, or maybe if it reaches the plus 60 dB of gain, well, maybe it's really noisy. So you can have plus 25 dB clean and use your preamp gain lower. For example, plus 30 could be enough. So that is another usage for this Cloudlifter. So let me introduce my test. I did a lot of tests. I've tested with or without the CL-1. The CL-1 is basically in and out, nothing else. So let's start saying how you can use this Cloudlifter and the limitation. Well, this Cloudlifter requires phantom power plus 48 volts. So your audio interface needs to have plus 48 volts. I think that also nowadays all the economic audio interface has the phantom power, so it's not a problem. But you can use this Cloudlifter only with microphones that do not require any phantom power, because Cloudlifter do not send any phantom power to your microphone. This could be a plus because you can use, for example, ribbon microphone, and it's usually common use inline preamp with ribbon microphones, because ribbon microphones usually have really low output, so you need lots of preamp, and Cloudlifter can help you a lot. And usually, I underline usually, ribbon microphones hate phantom power, because if you use phantom power to regular ribbon microphone, passive ribbon microphone, you can destroy the ribbon. okay? So be careful. And thanks to the Cloudlifter, they will block your phantom power, so will not reach your microphone. So you can use the Cloudlifter with your passive ribbon microphones, with your dynamic microphones, and stop, because all the microphones that do not require any phantom power. But if you want to use a microphone that requires phantom power, for example, let me grab it. This is a condenser microphone. This is a Lauten Audio LS28, maybe here you can see better. And this is a fantastic microphone for podcasts because it's basically an SM7B, but better, let me say. It is condenser, so it requires 48 volts. And this especially requires plus 60 dB of gain because it's very, very low, the output of this microphone. But I really love this microphone. And for example, it's a great microphone for podcasts. And you can use this to push plus 25 dB of preamp, but it requires phantom, so you need external tool to basically send phantom power to your microphone. So you can still use the Cloudlifter with your microphones that require plus 48 volts, but you need an external accessory, of course. Anyway, you can stay safe if you use any dynamic or passive ribbon microphone because there is no any passage of phantom power here. So say that, how did I run the test? I've used my main audio interface, which is my, you can see here, Orion Studio Synergy Core by Antelope Audio. It's a high-end kind of audio interface with very clean, pristine clean preamplifier. But I've also used another audio interface, very entry-level audio interface, the Arturia Minifuse 2. So very normal kind of preamp, but they are not really noisy preamp. But anyway, it's in the range of economic kind of audio interface. First test, and we will listen in a moment, is with or without the CL-1 Cloudfilter. So using or not the plus 25 dB. So I've here the results. Let's start with this test, with or without CL-1. Well, the first graph, as you can see, it's showing you the differences between the Orion only versus the CL-1 plus, of course, the Orion. So white and blue are the two lines of the two recordings, so with or without the CL-1. But the important thing is this white line, which is showing you the difference between these two recordings. So the most important thing that you can see here is that with the CL-1, basically we have all these parts that are lower. So a lower kind of noise recorded in the mid and high frequencies. But we have also a bump on the bass here. But most important thing is this behavior, basically, this behavior. So we have a lower noise on the mid and high frequencies. This is okay because using the CL-1, we have plus 25 dB of preamp gain without any noise, and then you can use lower preamp from your audio interface. We have kind of the same behavior also with the Arturia, as you can see here. So again, we have this behavior, lower, mid, and high frequencies, and again, we have some sort of bump. Here the behavior is more linear. I think that this is the behavior, usual behavior with inline preamp, while here there is something strange with my Orion. I don't know why. Probably the preamp of my Orion has kind of strange behavior in that frequency. Anyway, this is more or less the behavior with or without the CL-1. Now let's focus on the Cloudlifter Z. So the Z version. This is a more versatile version of the CL-1 because basically we can change the impedance. What is the benefits changing the impedance? Well, actually there is a main rule when you use a microphone, any kind of microphone. Usually you have to couple the microphone with a preamp that has at least an impedance of 10 times the impedance of your microphone. For example, this microphone has 150 ohm of impedance. Basically you should couple with a preamp which has at least 1.5 kilo ohm of impedance. and this CL-1 has 3 kilo ohm fixed impedance, so it's good. But here you can change your impedance, and changing impedance you should get different kind of sound from your microphone. Here you can also have an high-pass filter, and this high-pass filter is not fixed. It will change according to the impedance that you will choose, so it will move a bit on the frequency spectrum. And here you can also choose the output. So maximum output is always plus 25 dB. You cannot get more than 25 dB of boost, of clean boost here. But you can also lower in the middle position. I think it's plus 10, if I remember well, or minimum here. So you have minimum, more, and max. 3 different output. And the Cloudlifter Z can also be used with DI, because we have also the combo input here, as you can see. So you can also change the impedance for your DI. And remember, the higher is the impedance, the better is the recording. So let's listen now the differences changing the impedance with a test that I made with an acoustic guitar. So Jacopo Siccardi will play this acoustic guitar always with the same chord. Yeah, it's annoying, but I change the impedance and some other stuff. So let's listen if there are some differences in tone. Okay, it's very difficult to listen some differences in my opinion. I've tested also other inline preamp in the past, and I had drastical changing in the tone, changing of course the impedance. Here instead it's pretty similar. Anyway, there are some differences in the low, very low amount of impedance. I can feel that there is much more bass response if you use low amount of impedance, while if you use high amount of impedance, basically the sound is brighter. Let's say it's correct, but it's darker if you use low amount of impedance. And we can also see this behavior here because I have recorded everything here. As you can see, this is the test changing impedance, and as you can see, I basically compared every kind of impedance to 3 kilo ohm, which is basically the same impedance that we have here in the Cloudlifter 1 and basically the main impedance we have here. Remember that the impedance, the correct impedance to match this microphone is 1.5 kilo ohm. So here we have the 3 kilo ohm compared to 150 ohm, and as you can see, we have this drastic changing. Basically, we have lower response in the mid and high frequencies, and we have this sort of darker sound basically in the bass frequency. So there is this tilt kind of behavior, and I have the same behavior here but less accentuated with 350 ohm. So again, this behavior, this means that this will go down, so we have of course lower response in high frequencies, but this will go up, okay? But going with the impedance towards basically the matching of this microphone, so we are here, 1.5 is the same impedance, well, it's 10 times the impedance of the microphone. As you can see, the behavior is pretty linear. I cannot see any strange behavior here. And the same here, 3 versus 7 kilohertz, linear again, 3 versus 7 kiloohm, or 3 versus 11 kiloohm, or 3 versus 15 kiloohm. Here, as you can see, basically is higher the line, but it's only a difference in volume, in recorded volume. But the behavior is always linear. So the most important differences are here. So with very, very low amount of impedance. And this is correct because the general rule is true. So you have to use high amount of impedance and at least 10 times the impedance of your microphone. So guys, summing up, the Cloudlifter are inline preamp. Very, very good, clean, plus 25 dB of preamp gain that you have to use, of course, with your preamp gain, and extremely good for podcasting because you probably can use only this if your microphone does not require very high amount of preamp gain. You need only this one and you can record directly. You have the link in the description directly from Lucky Music, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.